What's going on, Pro Cutters? If I could get you to take a minute, not even, just a couple of seconds, click that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and share this video and all my videos with your friends and family members. Have a great day. Out here on a chilly fall morning in East Tennessee, up on my property, and I've got another slight issue with the brakes on the Raptor. So it's been a while now, but I had this front driver's side brake fail on me. Complete failure. The whole caliper went out. So I replaced everything, and that was back in May of last year. So the truck has about less than 30,000 miles on it, and about a year and a half since I've done that. Not quite a year and a half. And I started hearing some squeaking and just dismissed it, didn't even think about it. And then yesterday I hear grinding, and I look, and my rotor is just decimated on the outside, but the inside is fine. So let's get this off, take a look at it, replace the bad stuff, and I'm going to show you how. All right, so now we've got full access. So we're going to, these rotors can be turned, so it's not complete garbage, but it's damn tore up pretty bad. So, but the backside seems pretty good. We'll see. Let me get this off. So to take off your caliper, you're going to remove this bolt and this bolt, and then the caliper comes off. That way you can take off your rotor and change out your pads as well. And actually, to take the rotor off, my bad, you got to take off the entire, it's this bolt here, because you got to take off your entire housing, not just the caliper part. Okay, so with a 21 millimeter, and I'm using a 1/2-inch drive socket, you're going to get on there, and I've already broke it loose. So you're going to take out that bottom one, and then you're going to need a short extension to get into that top one, because you're going to want to use a deep well, a shallow well, not a deep well, because you're going to need where this tapers down to be able to fit around this brake line here. Okay, now to get to your brake pads on your F-150, you're going to need a 14 millimeter, and you're going to take off this bolt here and that bolt down there. All right, and once you have those two out, then you can pull your caliper from the caliper housing, and then you can see you've got your two pistons. Inspect them. I don't see any fluid leaking from those, so you get a compression tool, and I'll show you that, and you're going to push those back in. Now, you don't want to leave this just hanging from the hose while you're doing other stuff. You're going to want to get yourself a zip tie or something and tie it up on something. Now, sometimes you're going to want to get yourself a flathead screwdriver to get your caliper out of there, pad out of there, and you can see this pad is just completely and utterly destroyed, and it's pretty safe to say, or assume rather, that this was possibly a defective part. So I'm going to take it back to the auto store, because they've got a lifetime guarantee against defects at Advanced Auto. I'm going to take this rotor off, and I'm going to take those pads and this rotor back over there and see what they have to say about the warranty situation, and possibly save a little bit of money. because the pads and new rotor set me back 145 bucks last night. Okay, and with the caliper out of the way, the caliper bracket is much easier to access and move. So once you've got that taken care of, you simply just slide your rotor off. Now I'm going to set the camera down because these are heavy, so even though I just showed you loosening it, I don't want to try and take this thing off with one hand. So I'm going to take that off and put the new one on, and I'll be right back. So with the new rotor in place, you can put your caliper bracket back on. Kind of a pain in the butt one-handed trying to hold the camera as well, but I want the best shots I can manage to get for you guys. So there you go. And then you just, now with the caliper out of the way, you don't need the extension. You can just go ahead and put your socket directly on there after you've hand started them, of course, and then I'll be right back. Now I can't find my damn caliper tool that collapses them down, so I'm going to show you the farm boy way of doing it. So you get you a big C-clamp, and then you just gotta put your C-clamp on here like this and tighten it up, and it'll push that caliper in. But what I'm going to do is get a small piece of wood to put across here, so I push both of these in at the same time. So in true farm boy fashion, I couldn't find a piece of wood, but I had a lawnmower blade sitting right there, so I'm using my lawnmower blade to go across the two pistons, and then I've got my C-clamp on here, and I'll tighten this down and it'll compress those pistons back into the caliper. And by doing this, you're never opening up your system, so you don't have to bleed your brakes after this because your system was never opened up. Okay, so I found my brake compression tool, and instead of using the lawnmower blade, I've used the old brake pad. Still needed my C-clamp since this is a 2-piston caliper. This tool is really designed for a single piston. So I still use the C-clamp on one side and this on the other side. And you can see I've got those pistons compressed all the way back into the caliper. Now we're ready to reinstall it with the new pads. With your new pads, you get new clips. So the first thing you'll do is take off your old clips, and you can just pop them right off with a flathead screwdriver. Once you put your new clips in, when you put your new brake pads on, it comes with a little bit of grease, and I just put a little bit of grease on the back and on the two slides that go in here, and you just slide them into the clips and you're good to go. And the reason I put that grease on there is because that's where the piston touches and it keeps squeaking down. So now you do the same for the back side of the rotor. So we're in a bit of a rush here, not totally paying attention. So you'll notice the first one I put on is the one that has the two round bits that go onto the pistons. So this is actually your inside one, and this other one is your outside one. So I'm going to put this one on the inside of the vehicle, and then this one will go on the outside, and we'll be ready to put our caliper back on. Okay, so now with them on, and the back one fought me a little bit. It's always tougher to get things on when you can't really see them all that good. But now that those are on, ready to put the caliper back in place. All right, and it should just simply slide right in. It really is quite easy once you get the pistons pushed back in, and then you're just going to line it up so you can get your bolts back into your slide pins. And don't quote me on this terminology. I don't know that this is called a slide pin, but it's a pin and it slides, so that's what I call it. Caliper pin, slide pin, something like that. I'm not a mechanic, but I am a pretty proficient part swapper. So now that these are hand tight, you go ahead and flip your ratchet to on instead of off, and go ahead and crank these puppies down. Now you'll want to make sure they are tight. There we go. And that's all there is to it. New rotor, new pads, you can see them in there, and we're ready to go on the driver's side, so I could put the wheel and tire back on and then move around to the passenger side. So I hope that helped you be able to do the front brakes on your F-150. This is a 2013 Ford Raptor F-150, but they're all going to be pretty much the same, and for that point all vehicles are going to be pretty close to the same method here. You know, things might be a little bit different size nuts and bolts, but the methodology is going to be about the same. Some tips worth noting: I've come around to the passenger side, and the bolts are a 13 mil, not a 14 mil on the piston slides. These ones are factory, the other side were aftermarket. And then when I took this off, I noticed that I had issues on this side as well, and so now I've called my father-in-law. He's going to come pick me up, take me back to the auto parts store, because I'm going to have to get a second rotor because this one is ate up on the inside. So thanks for sticking with me. Stay tuned for more videos. I'll see you on the next one.